This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Throughout the nation and around the globe, from his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live on the radio, here on the Contact Talk Radio Network, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. And today's topic, magic moments. So before we get into all of that, into the realm of magic and magic moments, I also want to remind everyone I am taking your calls live. The phone number is 877-230-3062. Have the courage to call in live, tell it like it is, and then hear what the universe has to say. We had an amazing show last week, 2 shows last week on Wednesday and Thursday, and they were just amazing, one caller after the other. So if you're listening in, call in, have the courage to call in live. It's 877-230-3062. And also consider booking a private reading. You can go to DearJames.com and click on consultation. And that will tell you all about booking a private intuitive consultation with myself, Dear James. So I want to kind of lead into today's show with a premise from the universe. It was as I've said before, each time I do a show on the radio, the Dear James Live show, I'm always asking the universe, what do you want to talk about? And the funny thing with this one, Magic Moments, was that they started playing the song by the Drifters in my head, this magic moment. And it's from 1958, and it was Ben E. King singing the lead. And there was something very nostalgic about that. And there was something there was sentiment and purity and honesty about this song. And it kept playing in my head. So the interesting thing with Express Yourself, Magic Moments, is for us to all realize that magic moments, life is a magic moment. We create magic every moment of every day in our existence. And it's to stop and realize that that's what's really taking place, that it's not hardships, it's not, these cycles of ups and downs and we're being battered against the winds and we have no control and so forth. We're actually creating magic. Life itself is magic. And when we start realizing that that is truly the essence of our being, is to create. And by doing that, each moment is magical. We just have to see the gifts in it. So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into magic moments and our ability to create magic and how it influences our lives and how we see that in each moment of what we're doing. But I want to talk a little bit first about some big celestial things coming up, if you will, energy-wise. Mercury retrograde, and if you've followed the show and you know I am a Virgo with a Gemini rising, so I get a double dose of Mercury retrograde. But I've come to really love it. As I've said before, I love Mercury retrograde because it's a time to slow down and it's a time to revisit, rethink, revitalize. It's all these RE. Put an RE dash in front of most words and you're going to get it. And that is what the Mercury retrograde coming up. It's October 4th to the 25th. And smack dab in the middle of that is a full lunar eclipse on October 8th. So there's going to be some very powerful energy at play coming up. I, along with, I believe, 16, 17 others, will be on a spiritual odyssey in the Scottish Highlands and Islands with my amazing dear friend and fellow intuitive, Sheila Haidt, and I had her on the show earlier in the year to talk about it. And I was hoping to be able to report from Scotland, from Scotland and so forth. But it just so happens that the show on October 8th will be exactly during this lunar eclipse, with a lot of amazing ceremonies set for that day and everything. So I will be coming back to you live on the 15th of October, and then somewhere in November I will follow up with Sheila. So I wanted to give you that tidbit as well, that we'll be doing some interesting follow-ups from what took place in our journey in Scotland, our odyssey there, and looking very much to that. So if you haven't had the opportunity to look into that and see it for the next odyssey that she does, go to SheilaHeight.com and check out her website. And this is about the 5th odyssey that she's done, and it will be quite a journey. Okay, so magic moments. What does that really mean? And I know that, we struggle because the word magic typically conjures up, it's the bunny coming out of the hat and the white doves materializing from, handkerchiefs and all of this good stuff. But in the realm of the magic that we're talking about, and the altar to that is also magic as in witchcraft or sorcery or this type of thing. And when we take it down to from a universe standpoint, magic is life. It's really that simple. The gift of life is magical. And when we start to hone our ideals of what constitutes magic, then it's at that point that we really start to understand our limitlessness, our power, our ability, that just by our sheer existence, by our sheer presence in life, we are magic. We are magical. We are these energy beings that have come to experience life, and that energy and our existence, the way that we simply breathe. When you think about the act of breathing, the magic that is involved, if you will, the unknownness of that. We just do it. It happens. It's innate, and we take it for granted. We take breathing for granted. And so the universe is basically, in this particular show of Express Yourself, Magic Moments, some of the most mundane acts that we take for granted are the most powerful, are the most magical, are the most life-sustaining. And that's what they're really wanting us to see, is they're wanting us to see the magic that we create in our lives. And some of this magic itself, enthusiasm plays a huge vital role in the creation and development of magical moments, of magic itself. And a couple weeks ago, I did the power of enthusiasm. And I want to just kind of circle back to that for a little bit, because I had a lot of callers during that week. And some of the highlights of enthusiasm I didn't get to cover because of that. And I want to circle back to that a little bit and show you how enthusiasm plays into magical moments, into magic. Enthusiasm is contagious. If you watch a room full of people get excited about something, it ripples through. And it's like going to a concert. If you've gone to a really brilliant concert, and they'll say to you, the performer scales unparalleled heights because of the energy of the audience. In that moment, that contagious enthusiasm is creating magic. It's inspiring us. It's taking us to greater heights. And that is something that when you understand how that enthusiasm is playing out, and you really start applying it to your daily life, you're going to see that enthusiasm begets more enthusiasm. It creates more magic. You walk away and you're inspired, and the next thing you know, you're singing in the car and you're doing something, and it's inspired you to act. And that magic is actionary. It requires us to act. It doesn't just appear. Even if it's a thought, the thought is an action. So when you look at how enthusiasm moves you, and it parallels magic, all of this is coming about because you're actionary. You're willfully acting. And I'm often saying to you, it's the story, it's the old joke of the lottery, where the gentleman keeps praying to God to say, I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. God, let me win the lottery. And he keeps praying night after night after night, day after day. He keeps praying. And finally he hears the reply, buy a ticket. The point here is that enthusiasm alone, magic alone, they don't happen without willful action. We must marry our desires, our enthusiasm, with action in order to create magic. It's actionary. Can you imagine that you've gone to this wonderful theater and you're going to watch the likes of David Copperfield, and he's up there and he never moves? Where's the show? Where's the magic? It wouldn't happen. You would all be asking for a refund. So you have to understand that magic requires action, willful action. And in that, enthusiasm, as I said, is that igniter, that spark that propels you to greater heights. And when you do it collectively, when you see a candlelight visual, and if you'll just in your mind's eye for a moment, see hundreds of thousands of people, and world peace. They're marching and they have joined together for world peace. And visualize that they're each holding this lit candle. And as you see it, and as you pull back, as the camera of your mind's eye pulls back, and you see hundreds upon thousands of souls, of beings, with these lit candles, feel the enormity of that power. Feel the enormity of that collective desire for world peace. That's magic. That's profound magic. Because that one moment alters the course of humankind. It changes us forever. And if you've ever witnessed something like that, visually witnessed it or present, in the presence, physical presence, if you will, witnessed that, it changes your soul. It again moves you to greater heights of inspiration. And it moves you to act. It moves you to be a better person. It moves you to be involved in life, to engage in life. And that is so primordial. It's such a ingrained part of who we are, that in order to create magic, in order to have magical moments, we have to be participatory. We have to engage ourselves. We have to open ourselves to the magic of the universe. And that's part of magic moments. It's part of the brilliant song by the Drifters, This Magic Moment. Because that song was all about the embrace of a kiss and the feeling that kiss left its recipient with. That this magic, it's sweeter than the taste of wine. It'll last for all of time, all of eternity. It's this magic moment. So you're listening to Dear James Live here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Today is Express Yourself, Magic Moments. Phone lines are open. Call in, tell it like it is, and hear what Dear James has to say, what the universe has to say. It's 877-230-3062. And when we come back from the break, we will be talking more about the real history of magic, how that power plays out through our lives, and in essence, our existence is magic. Our beingness is magical, and life is magic. We'll be right back after this break.
The desire to be more consciously enlightened is innate. Do you feel there's more to life? If so, find the resource that's right for you by going to DearJames.com/resources. You are the reality you create. Make it a great one. When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they seek to communicate with you to provide the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. From serious to silly, monumental to mundane, there's nothing the universe can't cover. Maybe the insight you receive is exactly the affirmation you were looking for. Then again, it may just give you a whole new perspective on things. And that's the beauty of the universe. Submit your question to Dear James at DearJames.com and click Ask.
The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.dearjames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear James Live here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. It is Express Yourself. Tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. Today's topic, magic moments. And as I said before the break, the phone lines are on, so have the courage to call in live. Don't sit and wait till the last minute. People do that all the time, and then we don't have enough time to tell you what's going on. But 877-230-3062. And I want to keep rolling, if you will, with the real history of magic is a story of constant creativity, innovation, and imagination. So something that we need to understand right up front about magic in our life is that it's creativity. We're constantly creating it. We're constantly being innovative or innovating the elements of magic, if you will, and that it's in our imagination. We bring it forth. It's part of us. It's our essence. And when we look at that's the real history of magic, and magic has been here since time began. If you really look back at the history of magic, it was our soul to source connection. It was our earthly connection to source. And whether that played out in rituals and symbols and so forth, and the act of talking with the gods and deities and so forth of that time, that was the essence. That was the true essence. And so what the universe was saying to me in this about this particular episode was, it was, and funny enough that it's happening just where, as Barb just said at the break, we're in the shadow of the Mercury retrograde. And if you know anything about that, the shadow is always what precedes it and what trails a Mercury retrograde. And so it influences it. And this was all about a revisiting, a reconnecting to the understanding of our innate magic, that we are magic by our pure existence, by your pure existence of walking the face of the earth, or whether you're a discarnate spirit, you're magic. And it's about us reconnecting to the sentiment, the nostalgia of, we used to, as a people, live by this, and I'm using air quotes here, magic, this soul to source connection. And along the way, and rightfully so, there came upon a time through history and religion and so forth where this purported magic was persecuted, and you were crucified and persecuted for this soul to source connection. It was as if they wanted to exterminate it. And this is a gentle reminder, is what they're saying to me. This is a gentle reminder to inspire ourselves to remember that soul to source connection. It's about leading with our soul self. It's about connecting and hearing and tuning into that station again. It's a reminder that that is who we are at our purest energy and essence, to tune into that magic, because it brings about a magical existence. It brings about our true identity. It's not blasphemous. It's not something that you're to be burned at the stake for. It's our innateness. It's what we've always been. There's a point that magical power is divided into three elements: personal, universal, and dimensional. And we've been talking throughout the first half of the show about our personal magic, if you will, that it's what we are comprised of, and that our very existence and life itself is magic. And when you think about universal magic is the elements upon which all foundation, all of life, all of existence is made. Think of the complexity of our universe, of the mere sun and moon rising and setting, the tides in and out, the magic. Now, clearly there's a science, based on all of this, scientific issues and how we substantiate, quantify things. And that all plays a role. But when we look at universal magic, what we're really looking at is how does it all really work? And there are moments in our lives, or something will happen, and we'll say, I just don't know how that happened. It's unexplainable. And science can't explain it. And so there's one point by which we can explain it, and it's a single word. It's called faith. It's faith in something that's far greater than us, that there's a power, and an active, willful, benevolent power, an all-knowing power that guides us, that truly wants the best for us, that wants us to create magic in our lives, that wants us to experience those feelings of enthusiasm, of inspiration, of living. We're not meant to come to earth and just exist. That's boring. Nobody wants to do that. And if you are just existing, take a moment to inspire yourself. And whether that's to walk out the door and just be with God and nature and to see life, do that. if it's to go to a movie and sit in the darkness and weep, do that. If you're meant to just see the joy of life in the eyes of a child, and to see the birth of renewal of life itself, do that. Because the causal effect of universal magic is that we're all one. We are all integrated. And our thoughts and our actions go out into this universal magic. And we either create good magic or less than good magic. And it's how are we interacting with life? What type of magic are we creating in our lives and in the lives of others? Because we're influential. If I'm the parent, I'm influencing my home unit, my children, my spouse, my partner, my colleagues at work. We're influencing. Our energies are constantly rubbing up against the other. We're constantly sending that out into the universe. And so we're participating in the element of universal magic. And then there's dimensional magic. And dimensional magic is that between the dimensions. And there are many, many, many dimensions. If you've ever done multi-incarnational, or another term for that is past life work, it's multi-dimensional. If you meditate a lot, you reach various dimensions in those states. And so each piece, each component of magic and magical power, this personal, universal, and dimensional elements, they're all intertwined, they're all playing out, and we are all affecting each one of them. And while we may not be able to prove scientifically or concretely that there are other dimensions or there are other universes, we say that from a scientific standpoint. We say, oh, yes, there are other universes and so forth. But we've yet to explore them as a people and so forth. But if we exist, then they exist. And if we're influencing each other, then we must be influencing them, just as they influence us. And so there's a greater sense of responsibility, is what the universe is saying to me. We have a greater sense of responsibility in this lifetime to recognize our place, to reconnect with our true essence, and to start seeing that magic plays a huge role in the course upon which we all participate, we all interact. We are the beneficiaries of each other's magic, good or less than good. When you look at world events playing out, we see the essence of less than good magic. We see the essence of harmful magic. It's about control. It's about manipulation. It's about demonizing. It's about greed and all of these elements of lack. And for lack of better words, black magic, dark magic. These are elements in our existence, in our world, in our universe of dark magic, black magic. And then you see the other gifts of humanity. You see the beauty in a catastrophe, the care of fellow souls. You see the beauty of humanity when neighbor to neighbor people help one another. You see the purity of the magic. You see the magic in the magic. And so it's a question of, where do we as a people wish our magic to be? Is it of light or is it of darkness? And the universe is reminding us that we have a choice. That every step of the way, we have a choice in, is the magic that we are creating, that we are willfully creating, is it of lightness or is it of darkness? And when we again see that enthusiasm, I don't think you can be enthusiastic. Perhaps I'm wrong, but I don't think you can be enthusiastic. I'm going to take that back. You can't be. I'm sorry. I'm having a little bit of discussion in my head with the universe and everything. And at the end of the day, when dark magic takes place, in the minds of the people perpetrating dark magic, most times they believe they're doing right for their cause. That bumps up against the greater shift of positive magic, of light magic, where people say, that's not the type of magic that we want to prevail or that we want to live by. In other words, we need not kill one another. We need not harm one another. We need not do these negative acts of lack and limitation upon or to one another. There's abundance in life, the joy of life, the love in life. And thereby, if we embrace enthusiastic magic backed by enthusiasm, our world is far greater. And it's abundant, it multiplies, it's contagious in that way. And it triumphs, it prevails. I want to talk for a second about the fact that magical moments or magic are continuous elements of motion, i.e. energy. So, magic is energy. We are energy. We are in this flesh, skin, and bones, but we're energy. Everything we touch and see that exists is energy. A dear friend was explaining death to her granddaughter, and she explained it in the sense of, it's just like an ice cube. When you're incarnate in your body, you're like the ice cube. And over the course of time, i.e. your life, your living, the ice cube melts until the ice cube is a puddle. The ice itself has simply changed form. It has changed its energy, its composition. And it's now this puddle. If you then subject that puddle to heat, it will vaporize, or extreme cold, it will vaporize. It will turn into yet another form of energy. And so magic, each element of that, if you look just at the simplistic example that I just gave, from an ice cube to the melting of an ice cube to the vaporization of the liquid, look at the magic that's taking place in the transformation of that one item, that ice cube. And we take that for granted. We just go get it. We fill up the tray, or it comes that way in the refrigerator, and we never stop to think, isn't it amazing? Isn't it magical that this source, this water, can turn to ice, can turn back to water, can turn to steam, can vaporize, can turn around and come down through a cloud again. and the cycle starts all over again. I don't know what you call that, but I call that magic. I'm in awe of the fact that that type of element that we take for granted exists in our world. It's something that we should ponder. We should spend more time, and this is what this great Mercury retrograde coming up, it's a great opportunity for us to reconnect with the magic that's in our lives, because it's everywhere. It's the simplest of acts, and yet it's everywhere. It surrounds us. It is life itself. It is our existence. It's magic. You're listening to Dear James Live here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Today is Express Yourself, Tell It Like It Is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. It's about magic moments, and we'll be back after this break.
Available for private, individual, group, and corporate consultations, Dear James will provide you with the intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions. Schedule your consultation by going to www.dearjames.com and click on Consultation. The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.dearjames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they communicate to you the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. Ask Dear James a question and experience the magic of the universe. Visit DearJames.com and click Ask.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear James Live here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. And it's all about magic moments today. And there's an element, I'm going to bring Barb on in a minute, but I wanted to jump in really quickly to one other component before I go to Barb, and that's just all magic is built on the common ground, that of reshaping existing power found in yourself, your universe, or in another dimension to a form that you desire. And so in essence, what that's saying, what that means is when we want to change our existence, change our environment, when we want to propel ourselves, forward, we're invoking the common ground of magic. And when we marry that with enthusiasm, well, woo, it's a 10, it's a 20. But it's the point that when we realize that that's what we're doing, each time we want to change something, we're invoking the common ground of magic because we're reshaping something. And when we do that, listening to the universe, when we connect, when we do our soul to source connection and we listen, that magic is amplified 1,000-fold, because then it's original. It's our innate source. It's our essence. It's our energy. And it's that driving combination. So imagine magic our will, our desire to change something. We're listening to the universe. We're listening to that GPS, that internal compass that we have. We marry it with enthusiasm. It's off the charts. It's craziness. And that's really what this show today was about. That's what they want you to understand. So I told Barb during the break I was going to bring her on because she said, well, what's my next magic moment?
That's right.
Hello, Barb.
As long as it's not hanging out in another dimension, I want it in this one.
Well, I liked that. I said to Barb, I said, it's so funny because every time I thought about this show, the song from the Drifters, this magic moment kept playing in my head. And she goes, oh, that's so creepy.
I guess maybe because when I hear any of those songs from the 50s or 60s, I kind of think of a dream sequence and, they're in the gym and it's only that person and something ominous is going around outside. Just me.
It's just
too many movies.
I know. I thought, geez, we're not even at Halloween yet,
yeah.
But we're coming up. Now I know who to bring on for Halloween.
There you go.
Barb there with me. So, tell me, Barb, you've been listening in. You've been listening. What's your take on how magic applies in your life? Buy it? Don't buy it? What's your
no,
check?
I think completely that everybody makes their own magic, so to speak. Good, bad, or indifferent. It just depends on, I always think of magic as a prayer with props, so to speak.
I like that. Prayer with props.
Prayer with props. Because, a lot of times it's like light a candle, do this, a visualization, those type of things. But I think magic can also be instantaneous. And you're right. It depends on how you wield it, whether it can be dark. I think it's indifferent. It's nature, so it's indifferent to things. It's just how the person uses it.
Right, and you just touched on something that I want to remind everybody, because I touched lightly on it, but the whole concept from some way back, beginning of time, with the rituals, with the words, with the symbolism and so forth, and it was far greater at that point. The symbols of magic and all of the rituals and all of this, and certainly in certain aspects it can still be that. But the simple act of lighting a candle, or I kneel and I pray, to the east or something, it's a ritual. It's a symbolism. Mm-hmm. So even the simplest act, we are still performing magic just by going and, you might say, you know what, I just felt like I needed to have flowers and this candle.
Right.
And
that can change it, because your subconscious picks up on whatever it is that whatever it is that works for you, go for it. That type of a thing. But then I also think it's kind of the energy can be indifferent. It's how the person wields it, so to speak. So it's whether you want to use it for good. Hopefully you don't want to use it for bad. But that is kind of indifferent what you do to it. But, it'll always come. If you do think like that, then it'll always come back to you somehow. So be careful what you wish for.
Well, absolutely. Exactly. I was just going to say that when, in fact, if you're invoking magic and thoughts, and when I say magic, I'm talking about your creations.
Right.
If you're invoking something of harm to others, it's already coming back to you.
But think about how much, all that energy you have, whether it's hate or spite or any of those type of things, if you use that in a positive way for manifestation, think of how powerful that would be.
Exactly, because you've changed.
So you need to tune it to the right radio station.
Exactly, because you take it from a negative to a positive. Mm-hmm. And you inspire. It's always, and I forget the gentleman's name, but he wrote a book, and it was all about how you change the world, if you will, based on the positive acts to achieve the result. Like in changing governments and positions and things of that nature. His whole point was, you can harness this energy and do willful positive acts that will bring about far greater change than if you're beating the doors and burning the buildings and, and doing these destructive things.
Right.
Because it's met with that same energy. It's met with that same force. And when you then take that same willful energy, but you act in a positive manner, you create this positive magic. It's met with this, when you're trying to change a government or something, a structure within the government or something, they're met with such an overwhelming sense of this innocence and this positiveness that they can't come at you with negativity. It doesn't. And so, it's a brilliant book. I'll have to bring it back and put it on. It just popped into my head. But the point of it is that when we do that, it's mountains move, because you're utilizing your creative, positive magic, not your negative magic.
Right.
Or energy, if you will. So you've got me thinking, Barb, you've got me completely magic moments. You got me thinking about Halloween.
I love Halloween.
I knew you were going to say
I
that.
Love it.
And the show for October 29th will be Express Yourself, Ghosts and Goblins, What's Really in Your Closet.
Great. I'll get some spooky music for you.
So you're going to have something. So tell me, is there any... We're on magic.
The only thing I would say is, since is there anything from the other side right now for my friends, my unseen friends? How can I harness the magic? Let's do it really simple. How can I harness the magic that I have in the next 2 weeks? Where to focus, I guess, would be a good one.
Right, and because this is coming up in the next 2 weeks, the Mercury retrograde.
Right.
This is
it's
all
about
a
redoing
revisit.
stuff.
Exactly. It's going to be the redos. It's going to be the redos.
Right.
It's funny because they're saying
they're funny, huh? Because they speak like I do.
Yeah, your guides are like, we so love playing with her. They like to
mess with me.
Yeah, they do. They like to mess with you. They like to banter with you, is what I'm getting. And they're like, she's always a good time. She's always this. Like, she doesn't take it too seriously. If she does, she yells at us. And
right.
Like, enough. Okay, enough. I'm getting that what they're saying in terms of this with you on the next 2 weeks of how you harness your magic is they're giving me the term double down. You're meant to double down on your magic, meaning you're meant to double down on your true beliefs. As the world's whirling around you,
okay.
What they're saying to me is as everything's whirling around you,
okay.
You never forget your core, but you don't always practice it.
True.
And thereby what they're saying is this is going to be a double down on your magic time.
Oh, good.
They want you to really get in there and reconnect.
Go back. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a total core
literally the magic.
Literally.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. They're saying it's a double down. Connect to your magic.
Oh, cool.
Connect to your manifestations. You're a creator.
Yep.
When you're really practicing,
right,
you manifest.
Oh, yeah. When I'm focused.
Thus, they said she never loses her core,
right.
But she doesn't always participate. She doesn't always engage.
You're like, oh no, there's a pretty shiny object over here now.
Right, or life happens, and I think for most people listening, life happens. We let life overtake us sometimes,
mm-hmm.
and so this is a message to double down. Like reconnect, double down with your magic. But you especially, because they're saying to me, you have a couple projects that you've been trying to get off the ground.
Yes.
And they are saying to me, if she will double down on her magic.
Okay.
And there's a phrase that I'm not allowed to use on the air, but if you'll get your blank together.
Right.
And double down on this magic.
Okay.
you will manifest the results that you're looking for as you come out of the other side of this Mercury retrograde.
Oh, perfect.
So it'll happen early mid-November. The wheels, they're saying to me, the wheels of justice will move forward.
Oh, I like that.
So the wheels of justice will move forward, and you just have to double, but you're the driving force, you're the magic, you're the energy. And so you've got to double down. You have to really, and I'm hammering that a little bit because they're really saying to me, she's got to double down.
Okay.
If you want this, you have to double down.
All righty. Sounds good.
So there we have it. Okay. That's your next 2 weeks.
Sounds good. It's my homework. Okay.
There you go.
Thank you,
Barb. So we're talking about magic, and in that instance with Barb, there's a prime example. Here's the universe saying, you are the creator. You create the magic. You conjure the magic. And the way the magic is amplified and the way it's moved through you to a manifestation point is by listening. You've got to tune in and listen to the universe. You've got to hear what they're saying. And it's not the chatter in your head. It's the innate tuning in and hearing that. And then marry that with willful action and enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the igniter. When you combine all those elements, magical moments happen. Magic is created. It's birthed, if you will. And that's what we're talking about, is reconnect with your magic. Reconnect with your symbolism, with your rituals, with your soul to source connection. While life is happening, take the time out to connect, to hear your soul. And you'll have that opportunity. Don't get crazy with the Mercury retrograde and, things are going haywire and everything. Slow down, gear down, and really listen so that when you come out of this, out of the shadow of the Mercury retrograde on the 25th of October, it's going to have a shadow for a little bit. So by early November, there's going to be this release, this freedom. The momentum will be there for you to carry yourselves through and create magic. That's the whole point of today's show, Magic Moments, the Express Yourself Magic Moments. It's all about create your own magic. Know that it's inherent in you. Know that you are the driving force. Your collaborator, your co-creator is God in the universe. Your angels, your guides, they are there to assist you. All you have to do is slow down and marry it all together and practice those elements. If that's walks in nature, if that's what revitalizes you, if it's the flowers with a candle, if it's, again, kneeling and praying to the east, whatever it may be, invoke it. Because that's how you're going to have magic moments in your life, because you are magic. I can't say that enough. You are magic. And I thank you for this magic moment, because it's the joy of I get to do what I love to do every day. And I thank you all for that. And I thank you for your participation and your listening and your tuning in and your questions that you submit. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift, and it's magic. And I realize that every day, and I am so incredibly appreciative for it. So I thank you all for listening and participating. You've been listening to Dear James Live here on the Contact Talk Radio Network. Today was Express Yourself, Magic Moments. We'll be back next week with Fight or Flight. It will be Express Yourself, Fight or Flight. So until then, no matter where you are or whom you're with or what you're doing, wrap yourself in goodness.
You've been listening to Dear James Live on the radio with your host, Dear James. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.